James "Jimmy" Russo never meant to be anyone's savior. He was just a big, quiet South Philly guy who could drive a rig better than he could talk to people. At 42, he had exactly 3 things he truly loved. His 2018 Peterbilt 389, midnight blue with hand-painted red-orange flames. He'd laid down himself in his uncle's garage back in '09. His mom's little row house on South 2nd Street, 2 floors, creaky stairs, and the permanent smell of old wood and Sunday gravy. The silence on the interstate at 4 a.m. when the whole world was still asleep and he was doing 80 under the stars. In January 2023, he rolled back into Philly from a Los Angeles run with the fattest check of his life, $42,800 net. He was already picturing a new Eaton transmission, fresh paint on the flames, and finally getting his mother the granite angel headstone she'd asked for before cancer took her. But first, shower and beer. He swung into the County General lot because they still had a Yuengling vending machine in the lobby, only reason any trucker ever went inside. That's when he saw her through the glass of ICU room 4. Eva. She looked like someone had shattered a porcelain doll and tried to glue it back together with wires and tape. Tubes in her throat, chest, veins. Monitors beeping like they didn't care. Chart on the door. Ava Grace Harper, 28. MVC I-95. Shattered pelvis, ruptured spleen, grade 4 liver lac, traumatic SH. Prognosis guarded. Outside the door sat an old woman in a thrift store coat, clutching rosary beads so hard her knuckles were white. She looked up at Jimmy, and the last light in her eyes went out. He didn't know why he walked straight to the billing office. Maybe because he'd been in a bed just like that one in '07 after black ice in Iowa. Maybe because his mom died in hospice when they ran out of money for the last round of chemo. Maybe just because he could. "I'm covering it," he told the clerk. "All of it." She raised an eyebrow. "You family?" "No." "Insurance?" "No." "Then I can't even tell you the amount." "HIPA." "Tell me anyway." "James Russo. I'll sign whatever you need." She stared at him for a long time. 22 grand a night just for the ICU bed. Plus the Swiss clotbuster that isn't FDA approved yet. Plus 3 surgical teams. "You understand this could hit 7 figures?" Jimmy nodded once. "I understand." He signed without reading. That was the day his old life officially ended. He sold the Peterbilt in 4 days. A guy from Dallas paid $98,000 cash for the flames and the soul. Jimmy stood in the lot and watched his truck disappear around the corner. He ran his hand across the hood one last time. "Goodbye, girl," he whispered, and cried for the first time in 20 years. Then came the second mortgage on Mom's house. Then every credit card maxed at 29.9%. Then a 9x10 room above McGillen's old alehouse for $620 a month that smelled like spilled beer and broken dreams. His new schedule, 6 a.m. minus 2 p.m. Uber Black, 3 p.m. minus 11 p.m. DoorDash in a beat-up '09 Civic he bought for $2,800. Midnight 5 a.m. Bouncing at a club on Delaware Avenue. Sleep came in the hospital parking garage. Reclined seat. Alarm set for the next shift. He brought Ava strawberries in January, $14 a basket. He brought paperbacks from the dollar store. When she screamed at night from nerve pain, he held her hand and whispered, "Breathe with me, Ava. In out. I got you." Day 11 she opened her eyes. First she stared at the ceiling. Then she turned her head and saw him. Huge, unshaven, eyes bloodshot from caffeine and exhaustion. Still holding her hand like it was the only thing keeping her on earth. "Who are you?" she rasped around the tube. He smiled for the first time in weeks. "Jimmy. I was in the neighborhood," she cried. He wiped her tears with the sleeve of a flannel shirt that would never again smell like anything but hospital. She healed faster than anyone predicted. Doctors called it a miracle. Jimmy knew miracles had calluses and worked 3 jobs. He carried her up and down the hall when her legs wouldn't hold. She laughed through tears. "I'm heavy. You weigh nothing." He lied while his back screamed. The day she took her first unassisted steps. Sweat on her forehead, gripping the wall. She threw her arms around his neck and sobbed, "You saved my life. I will never, ever forget this." They moved into the tiny room above the bar together. The only photo on the wall was the Peterbilt. He couldn't throw it away. She finished her yoga teacher training online. Dreamed out loud about opening Second Breath Studio downtown. He nodded every time. "We'll make it happen, Ava. Whatever you need." First 6 months were hard but good. They ate ramen from the same pot and laughed when the salt shaker fell in. She wrote mantras on the walls in chalk. He brought her roses from the Wawa cooler, $1, wrapped in plastic, and she put them in an old whiskey glass. Then she started changing. New dresses she borrowed. New friends who talked about networking events in Rittenhouse and seed round brunches. Late nights that smelled like Creed Aventus when she finally came home. Lipstick on collars that wasn't her shade. Jimmy saw everything. He said nothing. He'd promised her happiness. Hadn't he? He'd known about Ethan Voss for months. Tall, perfect teeth, Patek Philippe Nautilus that cost more than Jimmy made in 3 years. Ethan's dad owned half the private surgical centers in the tri-state area, including the one that quietly wrote off Ava's final $214,000 rehab bill when Jimmy was completely tapped out. Jimmy had seen the likes under Ethan's photos, the saved stories of Maldives sunsets. He saw it all and stayed quiet. Thursday, February 13th, 2025, he got off early. In his pocket, the receipt stamped paid in full for the titanium rods in Ava's spine. They were finally free. He bought a $12 bottle of champagne, the most expensive thing he'd purchased for himself in 2 years. Climbed the creaky stairs. Door locked from the inside. The weekend playing. A man's laugh. Deep, confident, expensive. He knocked. Ava opened the door in a champagne-colored silk robe, hair messy, lipstick smeared. Behind her stood Ethan in Gucci boxers, sipping Macallan 25 from a coffee mug. "Jimmy," she started. Ethan smirked. "Appreciate you keeping the seat warm, man. I'll take it from here." Jimmy felt the floor drop out. He pulled the receipt from his pocket. Looked at Ava. She looked away. "I can't stay broke forever, Jimmy," she said softly. "Ethan's giving me the penthouse at 1706 Rittenhouse. Maldives next month. 250 grand seed money for the studio. I'm tired of surviving." His voice came out raw. "I gave you everything I had. Literally everything." She sighed like he was a kid who couldn't grasp algebra. "You gave me survival. Ethan's giving me a life. They're not the same thing." Ethan tossed a thick envelope at Jimmy's feet. 150 large. Fresh start money. No hard feelings, hero. Jimmy didn't touch it. He turned and walked out, down the narrow hallway, past neighbors pretending not to hear, into the freezing February rain. He walked until he reached the Ben Franklin Bridge. Stood in the middle, staring down at the black Delaware rushing below. His phone buzzed. "Eva, I'm sorry. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. But I want to live, not just exist. Thank you for everything, Redheart. P.S. Keys are under the mat." He deleted the message. Deleted her number. Deleted 2 years of photos, one by one, until his fingers shook so badly the phone slipped and cracked on the pavement. Next morning he was back at County General. Same billing office. Same clerk, Mrs. Rodriguez. She took one look at him and knew. "Got any volunteer shifts open in trauma?" he asked. "I want to help people who can't pay." She was quiet a long time. "You sure, Jimmy? You look like the one who needs the bed." "I'm sure." 14 months later, a 15-year-old girl named Leah Rivera lay in that same room for I-95 pileup. Parents gone. Legs crushed. Brain bleed. Bill already north of $500,000. At 3 a.m. Jimmy sat beside her bed, holding her small hand in his big, calloused ones. He'd sold his mom's house. He'd borrowed from some very not nice people in South Philly at 47% interest. "But Saturday, hang on, kid," he whispered. "I got you. Whatever it costs, I'll pay it." He already knew goodness doesn't always come back around. Sometimes it just moves forward to the next person who still believes. And somebody has to keep paying, even when your heart is in pieces. Especially then. Because if not him, who?